Suchitra Ella is the joint managing director of Bharat Biotech. She co-founded the company along with Dr. Krishna Ella. The company is in news for the COVID vaccine, Covaxin along with Covishield and Sputnik are the three vaccines allowed in India. Ma'am, welcome to Viona. It's a pleasure having you. My first question, of course, is on the production. According to a recent government announcement, 2 billion vaccines will be manufactured in India by the end of December, out of which 55 million will be around Covaxin. Yesterday, in fact, evening, you announced how there will be more production from a subsidiary in Gujarat. Where does the production capacity stand? If you can give us the details, will be able to meet the growing demand here in India?
Hi, Siddhant. A very good day to you. We have certainly conveyed our commitments to the Government of India. We have done it in a phased manner because of the reason that we have three different facilities in three different states or cities of India, as you would call them. Here in Hyderabad, we have doses, volumes of about 200 to 250 million doses per annum. Out in the city of Bangalore, Karnataka, another facility has been deployed, which will be able to produce to the tune of 500 million doses. And the third one, which got included yesterday in our release, was the plant which we have already operating in Ankleshwar, Gujarat, where we expect to also manufacture to the tune of 200 million doses of Covaxin. So over a per annum capacity. So we are looking at close to 1 billion doses of Covaxin could be churned out from three different plants physically located in three different states of India. We will be, at least India's population is known to everyone, and even going by what the government's indication and the requirement for the COVID-19 vaccines, we stand at least 2 billion plus in order to get the country vaccinated. I would definitely hope that we at Bharat would be able to fulfill the commitments that have been given to the Government of India already, and also add as much as possible in our ramp up to get more production volumes done. Since it's 2 doses of vaccine, it makes it, it's everything is doubled itself. So there's the challenge right there.
And then there are supply chain challenges as well. Vaccine production is a very complex and a very sensitive issue. If you can give us a sense about the supply chain challenges.
Supply chain for us, it mostly comes in terms of a lot of consumables which are needed for testing, because vaccines involve a tremendous amount of quality testing, QC testing, which is done in-house in our animal labs, in our product QC labs, and also by the National Institute in Kasauli in Himachal Pradesh. So we consume a lot of chemicals for these testing protocols, which have to be used day in and day out for every batch of the vaccine. So we do require most of these chemicals, and testing chemicals come from either Europe or the United States. So this definitely will be good to have supplies of these. They're not ingredients, but they are testing chemicals. We also need some equipment in terms of in the bioprocess areas, which is called cell factories. They are smaller equipments, but which go into the processing areas where the bulk of the material is processed. So these again are also ordered from countries like the United States and Europe. So most of our, these are by and large, the main ingredients which are used on a day-to-day basis. The equipment, of course, more than 60 to 70% of our equipment, which have already been procured, are capex, and have been installed in the facilities, but also come invariably from the Western countries where the vendors of these equipments are validated, from internationally validated vendors. So these equipments have already been installed with us because of not just for Covaxin, but also for the other vaccines that we manufacture on a daily basis. By and large, these are the three things that come to my mind in terms of what the supply chain for us looks like from other countries of the world. And certainly, it would help if the supply chain is eased out, and also, because of the volumes. We also need, now the volumes have gone up. What we would normally do or manufacture in an annual basis of say 200 or 300 million doses of say a polio vaccine or a rotavirus vaccine. Today we are looking at, for the same year, we are looking at 1 billion doses of Covaxin or the COVID-19 vaccine. So the pressure comes because of the high volumes of the pandemic vaccines that have to be manufactured in a shorter time frame.
Mm-hmm. Ma'am, so it clearly means that a lot of things are dependent on external sources as well. You mentioned Europe, other places as well. If you can also talk about, have you taken up this issue through the Indian government? Because a lot of diplomacy, it clearly looks like, must be involved in the entire thing. And what was the reaction of the Indian government?
Certainly, it is very well appraised to the concerned departments who almost, talk to us very frequently and are also aware of many of these areas of inputs that have to go into vaccine production. The Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Pharmaceuticals, all of them are aware of it. We have explained to them that these are some of the areas where things can be eased up. And certainly, I'm sure the ministries have been extremely proactive. I would like to say this very clearly, that almost all the ministries that we have been, the Department of Science and Technology, DBT, is also another ministry and department with whom we engage on a daily basis. So we have communicated this. They are very well aware of it. And I'm sure the Ministry of External Affairs, being the bridge between us and the other economies of the world, I'm sure these countries are all friends of India, and I'm sure they will understand the requirements that India is not just seeking this for the sake of manufacturing or supplying vaccines for its own population, but also we all know that India is 60% supplier of vaccines to the world at large, even from the past, not just at this point of time. So it goes to show that India has a larger role to play, a very large role to play, and the Ministry of External Affairs has reached out to us as well to take this forward to help ease the supply chain in these areas which are very, very specific to vaccine manufacturers. Thank you.
Ma'am, if you have to expand your capacity, how important it is to ensure external flows and, of course, smooth supply chains, which you just mentioned?
We have made our calculations based on how much we have factored in for the first 6 months of the year, for the second 6 months of the year. So certainly, in order to take, to reach that 1 billion doses of volumes that are required just by us, certainly all of these inputs coming in at very regulated, frequent, and consistent intervals. That is important because the quantities of these supplies also have to be met in a very consistent manner in order to reach this kind of capacities that we are talking about. So I am hopeful that this will get done. And I'm sure the countries of the world will certainly be talking to India and to amongst themselves to ensure a free movement of all these inputs that go into vaccine production.
Ma'am, sales of vaccines abroad have been done on commercial commitments and to establish the brand as well globally. How important it is to encourage these sales so as to encourage the global supply chains keep flowing for India, for your company?
Like I said earlier, India's vaccine production not only meets the demands of India, because our birth cohort is 27 million children per year. And we in India here manufacture close to almost more than 12 different pediatric vaccines. So we are very much aware of our commitments that we have to keep in mind for serving the country, the children of this country first. And definitely in the pandemic, we also know what the requirements of the country are at a pandemic scenario that we are in right now. But in addition to that, like I said earlier, we also cater to many countries of the world. We ourselves at Bharat have supplied to more than 125 countries around the world. We also supply to large organizations such as Gavi and the UNICEF, which procure directly from us as manufacturers very high volumes of vaccines that get distributed to the poorer nations of the world. So, and in addition to that, we also have countries, there are middle income countries and high income countries who also have the buying power to come and to place a procurement with the manufacturers directly for their country's requirements of vaccines. So we know there is a tremendous role and responsibility together that we as the Indian manufacturers have to play in being able to get this volumes not only for India but also to the rest of the world in the right time frame and in the most effective time frame. I think that is very important right now, is the time frame that we are in. We are all racing against time. And this is not an order where we say that we normally have 12 months to supply and they give us the dispatch schedules and all that, and to which part of the world or which countries of the world. But this is not like that. This is a race against time. Humanity needs it. The world needs it. So I think it's a time for all of us to get together and to make this happen in the best manner possible to save lives.
Ma'am, talking about the patent transfer as well, this is something which is being talked about, a lot of talk about patent transfer. Are you okay with sharing the patent of your COVID vaccine with other companies?
Our vaccine is a very, one of the most difficult process technology vaccine, which is called an inactivated Vero cell, which is developed on an inactivated Vero cell platform. It is a classical vaccine technology, which we deploy in more than a half a dozen, at least 3 or 4 vaccines that we manufacture already in the viral vaccine platforms that we have. And this is a very, also it's a highly stringent process. It is not about giving the patent or giving the tech transfer. This is about having infrastructure to manufacture such a vaccine in one of the most stringent biosafety levels, which is the BSL-3 facilities, where we ensure that the organisms should not escape into the environment. It is a negative pressure environment of a facility which has to be deployed in order to make vaccines such as the Covaxin, which the technology that we have deployed right now. So it is very important to keep that in mind, that the safety of the product is important, the quality of the product is important, and the safety of the environment where this material will be deployed is very important, because all said and done, the people who work in these facilities are also human beings, and their lives should also be extremely protected and safeguarded by the manufacturers. So this is a tough process to be deployed or to be just given away to anybody out there, unless that particular organization has demonstrated or has a very long record of manufacturing a viral vaccine under the stringency and the guidelines of the GMP requirements that are required and followed world over.
Ma'am, talking about vaccines for children, if you can give us little details about what is happening about vaccines for children. The clinical trials is something that has been given a go ahead. When can we expect the result, and of course authorization for use?
Siddharth, always clinical trials are a very time consuming process, though we have timelines for it. The standards, the protocols, the guidelines are all set in gold, and normally are conducted as per the Special Experts Committee and the Drug Controller General of India, who authorize us, gives us the authorization to conduct these trials. Having said that, the children's trial has been permitted for Covaxin by the Drug Controller General of India, and we hope to start it very soon. I think it is getting started in the month of June itself. Since Covaxin has already been extensively studied for almost about 8-9 months, and even now some parts of the study is still continuing in the adult population, where we had deployed 27,000 volunteers. So there is extensive data available on safety, on immunogenicity, and on efficacy. So this has been very well established in adults. But in order to ensure that children also can receive this vaccine, the drug controller, the national regulatory authority of the country will permit us, and we will take up this clinical study, which should again take us roughly about 2 to 3 months, if all goes well. In a pandemic situation that we are in right now, we hope to have the trial completed in at least by 3 months timeline, so that the vaccine will be the same, and it is the study that is important to show that the safety aspect has been established in the subjects who are going to be children this time. So that is very important. We are normally very well acquainted with pediatric vaccine trials, because most of our vaccines are cater to the pediatric segments of the world, I mean of India and the world, to children, to infants, in fact. So we are very well acquainted with trials of this nature. But this time around, since Covaxin has come in the reverse manner to children, so we will be certainly able to do this study for safety in children, especially the age group that has been required now is 2 to under 18. So we will be able to demonstrate that data, study data, and I'm very hopeful and positive that Covaxin can be administered to children as well, once the data is accepted and approved by the Drug Controller General of India.
Ma'am, but any timeline you're looking at when it can be given? I mean, I know this is very difficult given the fact that you have to go through the data, but any timeline?
I would see, Siddharth, it's very difficult to give a set timeline. Like I said, again, we are in a pandemic, and getting volunteers to the hospital, trials are not conducted within 4 walls. It's not conducted with a laptop or in front of a system. It is a physical trial in a hospital or in a medical college, conducted by medical practitioners, and the medical fraternity is involved in it. It is a site where the volunteers have to physically go to these hospitals, and there will be a lot of protocols that will be followed and adhered as per international norms and guidelines. In spite of all this, we are hoping that since we already have a lot of data for Covaxin in the adult studies, we hope that if, and children are children. I mean, there is none of us can go and talk to a parent. For example, as a company, cannot go and request a parent to convince them to please allow their children to participate in a trial. It is something that they would have to do by themselves in a voluntary mode. So the hospitals will create the awareness, will educate the parents, and the parents also have to be willing, because they will be minor children. So the parents have to give consent. The children will have to give consent again, or understand the process itself. So it's a medical process and a physical process, a biological process. So I think we need to bear in mind that it's very sensitive, but at the same time, we do it all the time, because like I said earlier, pediatric vaccines, we have conducted more than 500, we have conducted studies involving more than 500,000 infants and children for many of our pediatric vaccines in about 20 countries of the world. So we understand the regulations very well. We only hope that we will be able to take this forward in a country like ours, especially going through the second wave and the sensitivity of being children. We just have to, get all these aspects put together well, and then get it done in the best possible time frame that we can.
Ma'am, now coming to the gap which the Indian government has announced for Covishield, saying that the second dose should be delayed, but that hasn't been allowed for your vaccine, for Covaxin. Any specific reason which you can tell us what makes Covaxin different from Covishield, that the time frame hasn't been increased for your vaccine?
I'm not too sure at this point of time that they could come back any time. Siddhant, most of these, the guidelines from the Ministry of Health or by the Drug Controller's Office, who permits the dosages and the administration of this vaccine and the scheduling of the vaccine itself, comes based on the study and also based on the prior experience of getting such vaccines done. But with COVID-19 vaccines, almost technical data, technical information, academic research, and knowledge that is going back and forth between the world is almost changing by the day, if not by the hour. I'm right now, our vaccine has consistently shown, we have studied it within 28 days apart. The government has also gone ahead and said that we could extend it to 45 days. And we right now are at that dosage time point. It's a 0 day, and the second dose is within 45 days. I don't see that it will not, the second dose is always a booster dose. So in order to ensure that the booster dose will be effective in most of these recipients, I think the little bit of that tweaking of that timeline is not going to be a huge problem, because in many vaccines, the dosages are done between 0, 30. The third dose is done at 180 days as well, or even a year. There is a booster dose which comes after a year sometimes. So these kinds of things are normally done for many vaccines. In the COVID scenario right now, ours is a whole unit vaccine. The entire inactivated virus has been deployed, and it is not just the spike protein. So we have a more uniform way of getting the antibodies formed at at the levels at which we have indicated in the timeline of the dosages. So we are hoping that this will continue. If the results or if there is information or data coming from the WHO or other agencies from around the world who do a lot of these, who have a lot of studies and work and data coming, then it's upon the regulator to advise what should be the protocol or the dosage for regulations for the country. So I think as a manufacturer, we will be open to have it administered. Our responsibility ends with dispatching the vaccine to the government hospitals or to the government depots or to the private hospitals at this point of time. The administration of the vaccine itself and the distribution and the dispensation of the vaccine happens at the hospitals and at the government institutions. The regulation comes from the Ministry of Health. So this is a very multi-pronged approach, collective data, collective information, and the best of the practices and knowledge sharing coming from the rest of the world is also kept in mind when such decisions are being made for certain populations of the world.
And ma'am, your vaccines, its ability to deal with the variants which are coming, we have seen number of variants which have emerged. So if you can tell us to our viewers the efficacy when it comes to Covaxin fighting these new variants.
Yes, our vaccine, Covaxin, Siddhant, has been certainly studied from the very first strain that we received last year in the month of May, when Covaxin's initial work was started, after which Covaxin was also tested in the variants that came up in countries like South Africa, in Brazil, and in the UK. So Covaxin was proved to be neutralizing all these variants, including the double mutant new strain, which has also been observed in India. So all this data has been published in peer-reviewed international medical journals, and to show that Covaxin has effectively neutralized, being an inactivated whole cell vaccine, probably gave it an edge to overcome all the different strains, changes of the strain that is happening, the mutations that are happening. As of now, it is working well on all of them, and this has been proven clinically and studied and also subjected to peer review internationally.
Ma'am, my last question to you, it's a pretty long interview, but the last question, a personal question. As a woman entrepreneur, how do you feel dealing and being amidst this pandemic, providing solution to not only to India, but to around the world, given the fact that this is something, that vaccine is something that everyone is looking forward to?
Siddhant, personally for me, I don't think entrepreneurship is about gender. I think for me, a woman entrepreneur or a male entrepreneur is one, and gender apart, I think entrepreneurship is not gender-based. I mean, I guess it is the mindset with which you come from. It is the vision that you have to look at a challenge and turn it into an opportunity, or try and see if there is a way of finding a solution for it, which is what we as a company from the days of our inception have been focused on, is to innovate, continuously develop technologies, intellectual property, and innovate to bring new vaccines and new solutions to public health. So we collectively as an organization, we have a huge team of more than 2,000 people in this campus here. I'm in Hyderabad right now, but like I said earlier, my first point was the other facilities we have in Bangalore and in Ankleshwar, Gujarat. All put together, we are a multi-centric company with multiple facilities across states, and all of us through the pandemic have been collectively working in bringing Covaxin, which was very important for us as a innovative company, because we believe that such platform technologies and such innovations can also be brought from India. That was the passion and that was the vision. And we worked out with, it was a mission mode. Through the year, it's been about 12 months now we've crossed, and almost I can very confidently say that not any of the employees have come and asked for a vacation, except unless it was a family emergency or someone in the family or they themselves had to be physically away from work. There has not been a day when we have all reached out to the company and asking for a personal leave or personal time away, though it has been highly stressful and also physically challenging and emotionally quite challenging as well. But we have all stood together, thanks to my entire team at Bharat, who have really put in their time and energies and all their collective thought process and wisdom and endeavors to bring Covaxin out at the soonest possible time. I think I'm very, very proud rather, and also I'm very happy to be where we are for Covaxin and for the country.
Well, thank you so much, ma'am, for speaking to WION extensively. And I'm pretty sure that when the history of this pandemic will be written, your name will be written under the heroes of this pandemic who fought against this pandemic by providing the vaccine. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much. And it was wonderful meeting you. And please stay safe and take care. To all of you who are also listening to this, please stay safe and take care and get yourselves vaccinated from whichever part of the world you are tuning into. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.